consent of the United States Army and using government equipment and facilities, yours truly presents Christmas greetings from Germany. Now if I could get all the boys in the 76th Army Band to hold down the music just a little here, I'd like to say Merry Christmas to all the folks back home and anybody else who may be gazing attentively at this sound-making machine right now. I'm real sorry that I can't be sharing Christmas with all you folks, but Uncle Sam says that my talents are needed more in Germany than in Bogalusa, so here I'll stay for at least a short time. Since most of you haven't had the glorious opportunity, I'll put that in quotes, of spending Christmas in Germany, I'll use most of this tape to explain a Deutschland Christmas. I'll take you on a walking tour of Worms, Germany. This is a tour that I took and recorded December 2nd along with two friends. So sit back and relax and begin thinking real hard of a small German town on the Rhine River. And as soon as the band finishes establishing the Christmas mood, we'll begin our walk through the city of Worms. This is Jenkins, Army Specialist type, your co-host on the following ad-libbed recording. Today we intend to paint you a verbal picture of life in Worms, Germany, with emphasis on the Christmas season.
This is John Birling. I'm also a co-host on this.
And this is Specialist Ostertag, the other co-host.
What is your first name?
Franz J. Ostertag.
I think to explain the situation, the three of us are now downtown Worms, which is the city that is hosting our installation that we're assigned to in the Army, COM-Z. We're taking a little walk through the town. We're going to try to put down on tape the sights that we see that we find would be interesting to you, whoever you may be in the States. We think it's suitable to start this tape off, or this tour, off with a trip to the park. That's where we are now, the park in downtown Worms. We're sitting on a park bench now. We're in front of a monument. I'm not very familiar with this. I think John Birling could better explain.
Well, Silas, I can't give you all the details of it, but it's a monument to the Protestant Reformation. And around this monument, it's a large, I'd say, what do you think the dimensions are?
Oh, they must be about 35, 40 feet by 35, 40 feet, something of this nature.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
It has steps leading up to it, I think we should mention, plus the figurines are...
Right. The large statue in the middle is a statue of Martin Luther, and around the statue of Luther are four men who are sitting, and I would venture a guess that they're priests of the church. And then around on the outside of the whole monument are six more men, four of them standing and two of them sitting. One has, two of them have swords, and I can't see the one in the back, but if I remember correctly, he's holding a book, along with this one is holding a book, and the two men sitting have quilt pens.
I think we should also mention at this time that parks in Germany seem to be very popular. How many parks are there here in Worms?
I've noticed two. The one by the Kaserne, which is a smallish park, but it's very pretty in the summertime, and this one that we're in right now extends, seems to me, the full length of the downtown area, maybe a full mile, and possibly 50 yards in width, and it goes down through the center of Worms.
Yeah, that's right. There's on both sides. There's monuments all throughout the whole park. Down at the other end, behind it, directly behind us, is a statue of I believe 5 German soldiers from World War II. I imagine, probably a monument to the soldiers who fought here and died here.
I think this is an interesting fact that we should bring out. In the United States, more times than not, you find monuments to soldiers and battles won and wars won, but this monument is not to victorious soldiers, it's to soldiers who lost, and I think that's kind of an interesting point.
It's probably very unusual, I would say. Do you think, John, that perhaps the people in Germany, or especially in this part of what we've seen of Germany, utilize their parks more than the people in the States? I mean, you notice that during off-duty time or when you're walking through the park and the people are having a holiday, that they really flock out to these parks.
Yeah, the benches always, well, today is very chilly out, and still I see a number of people on the benches. The benches are always full, and the people are always walking through them and stopping at the monuments and generally enjoying their parks.
Yes, I also remember that during the summer season, when which just passed, that right across the street from us is a ice cream parlor, and at the time during the summer they had a sort of like tables, outdoor tables there, sort of like a French-style cafe, and it was always crowded, always completely crowded out there, and people always wanted to, eat the ice cream.
The Germans are very big on the cafe type thing. When I was in Dusseldorf, all along the Berliner Allee, which is the main shopping street in town, the cafes and benches so that the people could just sit outside and watch their fellow Germans walking by on the streets.
Well, I noticed this especially in Munich when I was assigned there, especially on the few days that we had sunshine. The people would really flock to the streets. I don't know when they got their work done, because it seemed like they stayed in the parks and the outdoor cafes more times than they could possibly have time to work.
Yes, that's true. I also noticed this fact to be true up in Cologne and Frankfurt and also Heidelberg, which places I visited in my travels, all here in Germany.
Shall we shut off the tape recorder for a few minutes and walk a little bit? Maybe we can find some other interesting sites that the listeners would care.
Yes, I think maybe we should adjourn to farther downtown to the main shopping district, and perhaps we can explain to you, our listeners, what it is or how the people go about doing their Christmas shopping in Worms.
Oh.
After a short walk of approximately 3 blocks, we're now downtown Worms. We're at a street corner now. It's rather busy, the traffic is, but at this corner that we're standing, it's an interesting thing going on here. John, perhaps you could tell us about it.
Well, it seems that they're selling Christmas trimmings, the evergreen tree trimmings, which is rather unusual because from what I remember from Christmas tree shopping, they didn't sell the trimmings, they gave them away, and here they're selling them, and they're selling small wreaths also. I think I saw a price of 2 marks, which would be 50 cents American money for the small wreaths. I imagine the woman who's selling them made them in her home, and then she brought them here to the marketplace to sell them. Many of the farmers in the area, I think it's Saturday mornings, bring their goods to the marketplace, their eggs and their fruit and everything, to sell it to the people walking on the street.
Yes, I think we should mention that this marketplace, which is in the center of the town, is located right where we're standing now. Now, John, you've been down here more than I have, I think. What do they sell at this little marketplace?
Well, mostly dairy products, fruit products, eggs, oranges, apples, and potatoes, things that are grown on the farm. This morning they were selling Christmas trees and their wreaths and a few little things for Christmas, but mainly it's agricultural products from the farm.
Franz,
I don't believe they really are selling, not selling the vegetables and that sort of stuff now because of the cold weather. Mainly during the summer, they're always down here. During the warmer seasons, they're always.
I've noticed they also specialize in flowers too. They sell.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, I forgot to mention that. They spread flowers down here.
The farmers all have large flower gardens. The Europeans are big on flower gardens.
I think now we'll walk farther downtown to Do you have something else in mind?
Well, I just wanted to, talk about some of the Christmas decorations around in the surrounding area. For example, just down the street, about a block and a half or so, there is across the street itself is a string of lights connected in the middle by a crown, I believe.
This is very similar, I noticed, Franz, to the decorations that we have in the States across the streets in downtown.
That's true.
There seems
true.
to be one slight difference. All the lights are white. They don't have the colored lights. All the lights are regular light bulbs, and
yes, they're not even orange or pink in color. They're white, clear.
Also, something that is missing, I find that is missing terribly much, and that's the structure of a large Christmas tree, which they usually have in most towns in the States, downtown. Now, I don't see any Christmas trees around at all.
I'd have to discontinue, or whatever you call it. It's not true. Disagree with that. For example, across the street, it's hard to see it now because the bulbs aren't lit up, but I'm sure during the nighttime you could see it. Just behind this bus there is a large, well, not very large, but I'd say about two-story tall, which would be about, I guess, about.
There's a tree also
20 feet high.
I tell you, fellas, why don't we walk down and look at this tree?
All right.
Okay, we're now at the tree, in front of the tree, which is not really what I would call a Christmas tree.
It's not exactly Radio City Music Hall.
That's true. It's nothing compared to the tree they have in Washington, D.C., or even Philadelphia.
I don't even think this one can compare to this tree that they have in Bogalusa, Louisiana.
And again, the lack of colored lights, all white regular light bulbs like we put in the sockets at home. I'd like to discuss for a minute the store windows. They are very much like our store windows in, well, whatever town we may be from. The Santa Clauses and the snowflakes hanging up and all the normal Christmas decorations, the way the store windows are usually set up, and they look very American, or maybe American store windows look very German, I'm not sure, but they're alike.
You can also say here, John, taking it back to the lack of colored lights. Notice just across the street here, they have a string of lights across the top of the windows, and every one of these are the same size as the bulbs which are on the tree, same size as the bulbs which are across the street hanging. They're rather large bulbs, considering they're supposed to be Christmas tree decorations, and they're all white. It really doesn't look very Christmas because of the lack of colored lights.
Right, very true.
It could be that, at nighttime it might look different, though, but it's not exactly, what we expect at Christmas time, but it might look a lot better at nighttime when they are lit themselves. Right now, some of them are lit, but you really can't tell that much.
Well, perhaps we can go over to one of these show windows and maybe explain what is displayed. We're now farther downtown, and I think we've picked us a perfect store. This is a store that specializes in toys for the children. What's the name of the store, John?
It's Siegel, S-I-E-G-E-L.
I'm noticing in the window here on the outside of the store, and we're directly on the sidewalk almost, a lack of Santa Claus. I see a cardboard outline of a reindeer, but I see Santa Claus nowhere. It's rather nicely decorated, however, with the fir branches and silver, what do you call those, stringers?
Yeah, the silver icicles.
Right. And I notice there's a red light up there, isn't it, or is that just paint?
I think that's a white light on red paint. Let's see what's going on.
We're about to be interrupted here. Yes?
The Caritas.
Do you speak English?
Nein.
Ja, little.
Ja, ich
Little
verstehe English.
What are
I
you
learn
selling?
English in school.
What we have here is a couple of girls selling something or another. What are you selling, miss?
Repeat.
What is this?
Caritas.
Caritas, das ist von Caritas.
Money, bitte.
We're having a little difficulty getting them to understand us. You say you speak English?
Ja, little.
What is this?
Was ist
Blumen. Blumen.
Flower.
Yeah.
Flower. And you're selling flowers?
Yeah.
It's sort of like a poppy, I think. Don't you think, Phyllis?
Yes, that's true. Sort of. It's a charity, I imagine. Some charity, a Christmas charity. In order, they give away a flower. You put it in your lapel, for a slight donation.
Well, why don't we donate?
That's a good idea.
I'd be a pleasure to.
Vielen Dank.
Dankeschön.
If you'll hold the microphone now, John, I'll pull out the money.
I'll be glad to, Silas. Just a minute. Don't run away now.
Un momento.
Un momento.
We're all donating to the cause
Some sort of
that Veritas,
Yes.
Caritas. That's what it is, and we've all got little flowers now that don't smell too sweet. But Silas is having a little trouble with his money. Thank you. Well, that was a nice little interruption. Two pretty girls.
They do look sort of like poppies.
Yes.
I suppose it's about the
They're
same
out of
tradition.
Paper. I'm sure they're homemade. They look like it's out of paper. It's mostly purple paper, purple leaves with a yellow. I don't know what. I guess it looks like sort of like.
They might be candy.
Could be.
I wouldn't try to bite it, though. Perhaps we should continue
No,
to...
it's not candy.
I think we ought to walk around to the other store window. I see one of these race car sets over there. Maybe we could...
Well, first we should explain that the displays are laying out here in 1, 2, 3, 4 windows at the store. We'll now walk to the next window where they have a better display, I think. John? John, what is this now?
It's slot car racing, Silas.
It's it looks sort of like a kit. I mean, I noticed this. They have a bleacher system here with. You notice the flags that are flown on this little toy.
It's supposed to represent, I think, the Indianapolis 500, and
Possibly, yes.
although the
With,
track is 8-shaped, it with the big tower, it's supposed to represent the Indianapolis 500.
Let me also tell you that the name of the game itself is Continental. They have on the bleachers, on the rear of the bleachers, they have a sign called Continental, in which they have flags of all the European countries plus the United States.
Of course, this is just a toy for the children, and I noticed the price on it. If that's the set over there, John, 89 mark.
Yeah, and that translates down to about $25.
Approximately $25. This is for a toy. It's rather elaborate. It's probably very much worth it, too.
I want to explain, this is like model trains, except it's with cars. They have a transformer down here where you can turn it up to attain the speed that you want from the cars, and there's 2 tracks where you can race your friends.
John, you mentioned model trains. I think if we can go to this next window, we'll see it.
Eased into that very easily, didn't we?
This is something which, it's a fantastic layout, that's for sure. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite so good in the States, even.
No, I haven't. When I had my model trains, I was trying to set up a tunnel, and I couldn't even get a tunnel, much less bridges. They've got a train station, and they've got homes and
3
cars.
tunnels, too.
Yes, 3 tunnels, and everything that's in a town. This is a whole town, including a little stream, a lake, and a mill. What's the water wheel?
Let me also say that I noticed down here at the train station itself that there is 3 local commuter trains, which are very similar to the German trains themselves. German commuter trains, which are red, and they have right in the middle. They have sliding doors, which open, and that's all.
I think, friends, we should mention at this time that this little train set here is not actually like the trains in Germany, because there is something unusual about the trains in Germany, at least from the part of the country in the states that I'm from. The trains run on electricity.
This is true. This is very true.
And they have actually it's wires which go the entire distance between towns. It's very much like the subway system. And I think we should move to another window. We're not at another window now. Approximately 30 minutes has elapsed since the last time we spoke into the microphone. We discovered after checking over the recorder that our batteries were running low, and you will now notice a distinct difference in the sound of my voice from the last I spoke. We had to come to this department store, which we're in now, to obtain batteries, and it was a problem getting people to understand that we wanted batteries, since the three of us do not speak German very well at all.
Would you like some coffee?
2 coffees, fine.
2 coffee?
White coffee. I think we should bring you up to date. That probably threw you a little bit there. We're in the cafeteria now of this department store where we purchased our batteries. This department store is, by the way, one of the largest department stores in all of Germany. It's 4 stories, isn't it, Franz?
Yes, it's main floor plus, which has displays outside on the main floor, and then there's 3 other stores, which we are now on the, I believe, the 4th floor.
Yes, the 4th floor. This is, we just came from the toy section on the 4th floor. It's adjacent to the cafeteria here.
I'd just like to say that I noticed that the toy section here is very small. It's you know, generally back in the States, a toy section would take up, you know, I'd say 1 or maybe 2 floors, at least 1 anyway.
And especially during Christmas time,
yes,
they would
that's
enlarge
true.
this.
Right, they would really enlarge it. Where here, well, although it is a little early yet, it's only December the 2nd. It's kind of early, but I'm sure it seems like they're kind of settled in the way the layout of the floors.
I've also noticed, Franz, by the way, we should explain that there are now 2 of us because our friend John Bierling had to go back to the post because he has flag detail today.
Yes, one of the many bennies of the Army.
True animosity toward the Army because of all the details. We're now, like we said, in the cafeteria. We have already ordered a couple of cups of coffee. It's rather crowded in here today, I guess, because this is the first Saturday of the month, and it's a tradition in Germany that the first Saturday of the month all the stores remain open. Usually they close at noon on Saturdays.
Yes, that's true, and you know, everybody just got paid, so they're sort of spending their extra cash.
Yes, it's crowded, then we had a little trouble getting a table here, and the people around us now, I've noticed, are giving us somewhat peculiar looks
yes,
as we
that's true, right.
as we sit here talking into the microphone between us.
Yes.
Talking about this department store, as I said before, it's one of the largest in Germany. Department stores aren't as popular over here as they are in the States. I think for the benefit of the people in my hometown, my folks, I can say this store is approximately the size of the J.C. Penney building.
Yes, I'd say we have a similar store, which it's be about the size of one of the smaller stores. It doesn't hardly compare at all to you know, Gimbel's or the large department stores, which are about 1 floor would take up maybe 1 section.
I think we should explain for the benefit of those who are not from your hometown that you're from Pennsylvania, Philadelphia.
Dilly.
Philadelphia is somewhat larger than Bogalusa.
Yes, slightly.
About this department store, I've noticed that this store, on the outside even, the Christmas decorations were much more elaborate than on any other store in town, and especially inside the building too.
That's true, very true.
They're making use out of blinking lights. I'm looking over here to my left now into the toy section. It's very elaborately decorated with flashing lights. There are quite a few lights over there.
Yes, the top or the ceiling itself is of a maroon or what do you would say, scarlet color?
Sort of a scarlet, yes.
Scarlet color with it has a sort of I guess you would call them white plants or white trees, artificial, I imagine, sticking coming from pillars in the center around the floor and spreading out on the ceiling top.
Also, directly behind you, Franz, and on a little pedestal is a Christmas tree. I don't know if you've noticed it yet.
No, I haven't really, but I noticed behind you that they have a string of large Christmas bells. It looks like they're made out of plastic. They're also maroon and very shiny.
And we should mention that on our table here is a little arrangement of trimmings from a Christmas tree, arranged in a little flower pot and topped with a ribbon and a candle.
Yes,
and of course,
candle,
the candle is bright red.
Yeah.
we don't have our candle lit, Franz, and I notice all the other people at the tables have theirs lit.
Well,
Shall we light
should
it?
correct that.
Well, I see our coffee is about to come, so we'll adjourn right now to a well-earned cup of coffee, because I think we mentioned earlier on the tape that it's quite cold outside. My hands are just now beginning to thaw out. So we'll have our coffee, and we'll next visit the toy shop, which has, as we have mentioned, is right across from the restaurant here. And we'll try to describe some of the selection of toys that they have here in a department store in Germany. Now that's rather interesting. We're now in the toy section of the department store, and we're examining the selection of model cars. And Franz, you're playing with something there. What is it?
It's, I believe, a Simca 1500.
Which, of course, is the French car. And it's sort of a remote control device you have there.
Yes, it has a steering wheel on the top, which, you know, turns it left or right. Plus, it has a forward and back speed. Forward, back.
And I see the car is responding to your signals very well. We mentioned before, it's a very limited toy section here. You seem to be specializing in cars, trucks, all sorts of wheeled vehicles.
Here we can go through them, describe some of the type of cars we have. First of
Here's
all,
a police car, and that's
yes.
rather different from the police cars you'll see in the States.
Yes, it has first of all, it's Polizei on the side. It's not police, which is the German word for police. I believe it's one of these things where you push it along the ground. As it goes along the ground, the
guy moves.
The policeman does something.
His head turns from side to side.
And I imagine the light. They have a light in the front, a red light. Doesn't work right now.
You notice there's another police car right in front of this,
yes.
And what kind of a car is that? It's not a German.
Wow.
It's not a German car. It's
No.
a Ford.
This is a Ford, definitely a Ford, but it has police on it, Polizei on it. It has a green light in the front, has a red searchlight, sort of.
What's that, a 65
siren.
Ford there?
Yes, that's what it is. Has Polizei on the top. It has a huge antenna in the back. Plus, it has a
It's like a radar.
radar. That's what it appears to be. It has speed and meter on it, and it appears to be a radar. Depending on how fast you go, the needle goes back and forth.
I think you can read on the box there, Franz.
Yes,
It's not in German.
No, that's a Volkswagen pickup truck.
And it's written in English.
Battery
And let's see
operated,
where it's
remote
made.
control.
Let's see if we can find out where it's made. Manufacturing company. I'm sure we'll find it.
Made in Japan.
In Japan, but in English.
Yes. Oh, look at this. Here we have a Mercedes-Benz. It's nothing special about it. Only, let's see.
Another one of the remote control units, very similar to the car you had a minute ago.
It has a, well, you know, it's the same thing. It has a forward and back, and plus it has a wheel. Plus we have a, oh, look at this Cobra. A beautiful Cobra. Sparkling red. Engine, oh, look at this. The engine comes up in the front, and then when the back looks like, oh, look at the back. A gigantic motor in the back.
That would be interesting. That's something you would probably find in the States too, I think. The toy system selection of toys is very similar to that you would find in a smaller department store in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said before, it's not a tremendous toy shop here in this department store. Let's go to the sports section, Nostra.
Okay.
Here in the sports department, I don't know if they operate this on a seasonal basis as far as selection of items, but they have an emphasis I can notice here on winter sports. The selection of skis is tremendous.
Yes, that's true. They have an awful lot of skis on all different sizes. They're mostly they appear to be all metal type. These here are I'd say there's 3 dozen type skis.
I noticed some prices on the skis here. Was 249 mark.
Yes, that's true.
It's approximately $70.
219 marks, which is about the same.
We
thing.
should also mention at this time, for the benefit of the people at home, that to compare the mark to the dollar takes 4 marks to make a dollar. So when we mention how many marks an item costs, just divide this by 4 and you will have the price in dollars.
They also have, I noticed in front of us, there are mini skis, I imagine, for youngsters. And they have a trainer type ski, which it looks like it has a steering.
I think this is a special type of sport which they use this for, tag.
Could be. They have a seat on it, which is, kind of unusual for a
set of skis.
Right.
Oh, we try some other place.
Okay.
We're back in the toy shop now, and we have found us a person who we can interview. Is a German citizen and who speaks English. Sir, what is your name?
Thomas, Jacob Thomas.
I've noticed since we've been in here today that, of course, this is a very crowded store, and the Kaufhof is one of the biggest department stores in Germany, isn't it?
Yes.
The selection of Christmas toys is somewhat limited here. Is there another section of the store where they have Christmas toys?
In the store?
Yeah. yes. Is another. What you mean? Another section?
Yes. Is this all the toys they have in the Kaufhof?
No, much
not?
Much more.
Where are these located?
Oh, where?
Downstairs or?
Downstairs, yes, and in the basement you can find everything what you want, what you like to buy.
This has been a problem with us. We haven't noticed this. How long does the Christmas, the shopping last? I mean, your Christmas, of course, is the same as ours, right? It's on the 25th?
Yeah, to the 24th.
Yeah, the 24th is the day we give the present to our friends. 24th.
On the 24th?
Yes, on the 24th in the evening, in the night.
So that'd be Christmas Eve.
Yes,
in other words.
Christmas night. Yeah, it's Christmas evening.
And what do you do on Christmas Day, the 25th?
Yeah, what we do, we go to our family, to our friends, and to our family.
In the church?
Yeah,
in the evening in the
we
church.
go in the church, yeah.
Well, tell me, in the States, for the children, they have this tradition of Santa Claus. Is this really big in Germany?
No.
Nikolaus.
Yeah, this is another day. This is 6th December. It's not the 24th December. Yes,
6th December?
Yes, 6th December.
What do you do on the 6th of December? That's when Santa Claus comes? And
Yes,
visits?
yes,
Do you have the
yes.
tradition of the reindeer and his sled, too?
Yeah. The children are very afraid for the Santa
I
Claus.
see.
Yeah, and
They're very good the week prior to.
Yes, you are
And
right.
do you tell them that if they're not good, Santa Claus won't come and bring them any
He
gifts?
get a road when he's not cold. It's a poison the kids, She get a road when he's, we say it in English,
Bad.
How
When
do
he's
you call?
good
Yeah,
or
he's
not
bad. He said, I take you, and you have to go in a big. How do you call it? In a big
box
bag.
or sack.
Oh, I see.
A big sack,
Yes,
yeah.
in a big sack. Yes.
Do you have the deal where he comes down the chimney? Is this traditional in Germany?
No.
Yes, this is the thing. In the States, we say Santa Claus comes with his reindeer and his sled. He lands on top of the roof, and then he goes down the chimney
Yeah?
and
No.
delivers all of his toys and puts them under the Christmas tree.
No, we don't know.
The Nikolaus Day is only for the children,
It's only for the
On
children.
the 6th December.
Well, we sort of incorporate this into one day, one Christmas, the 25th, and Santa Claus makes his run on the night, the 24th, which is the night you say you give the gifts to your friends.
Yes. And the 24th, we give the presents to our friends and to our family. Yes.
What about Christmas dinner? Is this a big thing?
Christmas dinner, yes.
Too, yeah.
Yeah, too.
The difference in the family, Some
Yeah.
family do and some not,
What is the
We
specialty on Christmas? Is there any certain dish you prepare, like maybe turkey
Yeah, not turkey.
Gans, the gans.
What is it? How do you call this?
It's white and big. Same like a turkey, you know?
Yeah.
Goose?
Like a
Of
duck.
course,
Yeah.
yeah. Now you got it. Yeah.
There you go, big with nuts and fruit cake
Yes,
and
Yes,
things.
yeah,
of this nature.
yes.
Cranberry
And,
sauce?
we call, I don't know, how do you call this candle? We call this in Germany Konfekt. Konfekt. We call this in German Konfekt.
It's a cake, you know.
Yes, a cake,
Oh,
little cake.
Cookies, yeah.
Cookies, yes,
Yeah.
Well, how long do you usually prepare this meal? Do you start cooking it, say,
No,
two
no.
days before? Or?
No, 3-4 weeks before.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, a long
weeks.
time.
Yeah.
Well, this is a big deal.
Christmas
Yeah,
time
and we
coming
have
and the children
Yeah,
is...
and we have a Christmas tree in every house.
Oh,
Yes,
great, yeah.
big tree, yes.
Do you decorate this tree with colored
Yeah,
lights
yeah,
and things?
yeah,
of this?
with color lights and light balls, yes.
And
In-
tinsel?
Yeah, sometimes.
That
We
sounds
noticed,
very interesting.
We noticed outside along the streets that most of the light bulbs are just white. Is that a tradition outside or just in the department store
Yes,
area?
we
Yeah.
mentioned this, that in the States, when they have the lights on the Christmas trees and across the street, hanging from the wires across the street,
Yeah.
these lights are always different colored, blue,
Yeah,
red,
yeah,
gold,
yeah.
No,
yellow.
in Germany,
But here it's, we've noticed it's white.
Always white, yeah.
But is there a reason for this? Is there any tradition
Yeah,
behind
I
it?
don't know. This is, how do you call this? Is many years ago.
Yes,
We liked this only in white.
Well, this is true all over Germany, not just in Worms.
Yeah.
In all Germany. Not
that's-
only in Worms. Yeah.
That's really interesting, and I'd like to thank you for talking to us.
Yeah.
Well, friends, that pretty well explains why we think the toy selection is limited here.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. They have, imagine down, she said down the basement that they have a large selection too. And
What do you say we visit this right
okay,
now?
let's go down there now.
Well, we're now down in the basement, and Franz, if they have an additional toy section in this department store, they've got it well hidden, don't you think?
I think so, definitely do. I don't see a single toy at all.
As a matter of fact, down here, it's more like a delicatessen and a
Yes.
combination food store,
Right.
plus I noticed they have detergents and things, household items
More
down here.
sort of like a commissary we have on post, or a grocery store type establishment, a huge grocery store type establishment, or mostly food. They also have directly behind us, which is very typical of the German restaurant sort of. They have a small compartment or a small section.
It's sort of like a coffee house.
Yes.
It's got a name over the door, with Schillenbiss.
Schnellenbiss.
Schnellenbiss.
Yes.
Could you interpret that for us?
I'm sorry, I can't. No.
Well, anyway, it's some sort of a coffee house, and I see they have Florida Boy orange
Yes.
juice.
They probably have, I imagine, coffee, beer, cola. Oh, they also have, which is very typical of the German restaurant or German sidewalk cafe, these tables. There's something you stand to. You don't sit down at.
No chairs. A completely
Right, yeah.
complete absence of chairs.
They have it's just one table, one small table, approximately a foot by 5 feet, I'd say. And you just come there and lay your tray down or your plate, whatever it be.
I think, Franz, we should mention here that it may seem unusual to the folks back home that they would have a place where they sell beer inside a department store.
Yeah, that's
but,
true. That's
we
true.
should say that there are very few places, stores, buildings, or of any nature that you can go into in Germany where you won't find them selling
Yes,
beer,
that's
because they
true.
drink beer like they drink water.
It just, like they say, beer is to the United States or beer is to Germany as water is to the United States, and as wine is to France.
What do you say we go upstairs, back to the first floor, go out of the building, and maybe try to find another building or something else of interest
Yes.
in downtown Worms?
Yes.
Oh, we're now back on the street outside, and I notice The sun has gone down now, Franz, and it's much colder than it was when we began this.
Yeah.
You can tell by the way we're trembling out here. And it's just about dark now in Worms, and we're beginning to see that the display, the lights, the decorations for Christmas are sort of coming through better now. Maybe we should take this into consideration, that in Germany, especially this part of Germany, there aren't very many stars. I don't know if you've noticed this at nighttime, Franz.
That's very true. I haven't seen a star in a long time.
And maybe this is one reason why they have all white lights.
Could be.
Maybe we've discovered the secret.
Right. They have. I want to see those little stars in the sky.
Maybe we can talk about some of the decorations on the now that the light is.
The store we just came out of, which is Kaufhof. I believe that's the pronunciation.
Yes,
close to it. On first floor, of course, is displays. They have a number of windows in which they have mostly ladies wearing apparel. They have Christmas trees with colored balls on them, and directly above this, they have sort of like a roof, which extends partially over the side of the sidewalk.
It's an overhanging ledge.
Yes. Plus, on top of that, they have Christmas trees lined all the way along the top of that, and they have a huge sign here, made up of looks like a sign in the middle with yellow lights completely surrounding it.
This is the thing that's standing out very much so here, because all the other lights are white and these lights are yellow.
It says Schenken Lake Gemachen.
Is that
Lek means light, and Gemachen means to. I'm not sure the exact pronunciation, but I'm not sure what it really means.
I couldn't help you out a bit there either, Franz.
It also has a number of packages, Christmas wrappings with bows and different colored papers. And then down farther along the building, they have lines of what do you call that? Christmas.
That was a sort of a star. It's solid, of course, and it's just hanging. It's got a yellow light in the middle of it. It's made of paper, it seems, and it's quite a sight.
Yes. Plus, again, they have the foliage running down. Not foliage. What would you call that?
Well, it's an arrangement of some sort of a evergreen with decoration. It's very nicely arranged.
Yes. You look at the building, the other building across the street, which is called Reka, R-H-E-K-A. It's a three-story building. It's again a small department store, not very huge. On the first floor, they have all the windows. They have not very much Christmas decorations to say, much less even in the former Kaufhof. On the second floor, which is very unusual again, is that they have colored lights. They also have windows there, which they have displays in them. They mostly Christmas displays, look like different colored wrappings for a package. And directly underneath, they have again the different color bulbs, light bulbs.
Right. You know, Franz, to change the subject just for a moment, it's now 5 minutes after 5, and it's quite dark, but yet, how about this crowd? I mean, this looks almost like Mardi Gras, the way these people...
That's true. There's an awful lot of people here. I can't believe it. It's, back in the States, December the 1st is quite early, though, but for Christmas shopping. But as the lady said in the store, she said they have on the 6th is the day when Santa comes around to give the children their presents.
And I imagine now is the time they're doing all their Christmas shopping for the kids.
That's true. They sort of separate it between the youngsters and the older people or grown-ups, and maybe it splits their budget a little more, spreads Christmas time out a little more than usually does back in the States.
Perhaps we could talk now, Franz, about the dress and the general description of what's going on with me. Just, for example, a baby buggy just passed us. Now, this baby buggy is not like the baby buggy, the stroller, as we call them in the States, because they have wheels which are about as big as a tricycle. The front wheel of a tricycle usually is about that size, and the stroller, the baby, is about at least 2.5 feet off the ground. Yes. This I've noticed since I've been in Germany. This is a very traditional thing. That the strollers are all
very huge either. The buggies themselves, they're small. You know, the part where the baby sits or lays is very small.
It's about the same size as the regular stroller in the States, and I see there's another one going by right now.
Yes, the same type.
I wonder if this one company has a monopoly on baby strollers.
I'd say that, being that there's another one down the street there a little ways, which is exactly the same type.
Perhaps, Franz, you could explain how the women seem to dress here in Germany, like the elderly lady that passed us just then.
Well, from a distance, if she didn't have if you didn't look at the bottom of her, you could tell her that she might be a man, because she had a sort of like a man's type hat on and a long coat which reached down to her, well, halfway down her calves, which is, it just, you know, looked like an old person, you know.
Yeah, they have a peculiar way of dressing. I know their dresses they wear, when they don't wear their overcoats, reach almost to the ankles, and then of course the overcoats go all the way down too. Yeah. In the interest of those who are listening to us now, maybe we should describe how the younger women dress here. It's not too different from the modern miniskirt fad that's going over the States.
I'd say it might be a little different. I don't know. I haven't been back there in a long time, in almost over a year anyway. But when I was back there, they had the miniskirt, which was just coming out at the time. But over here, you see many and many micro miniskirts, which they
wear them in the latest British fashion, I think. But then again, you'll see other younger girls. Now, perhaps this depends on the family. Some of them dress very traditionally German, and they wear longer skirts. And then there are other girls that may be walking with them who are wearing the miniskirt.
That's true.
It's just rather unusual. And let's get to the men's apparel, Franz. How have you found, just in Worms, say, the way the men dress?
Well, of course, they're much more formal in their style. Back at home, you know, we get a sweatshirt, maybe a sweater, and a sports shirt. But over here, you find the majority of the men wear a tie and a tie at least. Some of them a lot of them wear a coat and a tie, and they have the scarves, and they seem like they're dressed up when they go downtown.
And this has struck me as peculiar too, that the men, as they just go out for a normal shopping day, they'll get all dressed up like they're going to a formal dinner or something.
Yes, that's true, very true. And the majority of them are very heavy clothing too that they wear. The styles are slightly different than ours. They're I can't really describe the styles.
The old European style.
Yes, right. Yes, that's what it is. It's nothing. It's not the silks or the bright colors that we have back in the States. It's mostly, charcoal, dark brown, dark blue,
and almost all wool.
Right. Yeah, definitely wool, mainly because of the climate, because of the cold weather. It's generally cold year round. Well, not very cold, but during the summer, it's pretty warm.
Nothing to compare to the weather that I'm sure, as I've spent this last summer over here in Worms, is nothing like the summers in Louisiana. I don't know about Philly.
I'm sure. Well, back in Philadelphia, sometimes they get up to around 90, 95. But I'm sure down in Texas, where they get maybe 120 at times, it hasn't even come close to that.
Perhaps we can take a short walk down the street and maybe find something else interesting to talk about.
Okay.
We're now away from the center of town. We've traveled about 3 blocks away from where we were when we last were talking on the tape recorder. we haven't found anything of interest during our little trip from the main section of town to bring to your ears. However, now we're in front of the Bahnhof. Now, the Bahnhof is the train station in Germany. That's the name for the train station. And usually, for some reason or another, well, we can explain it very easily, the Bahnhof is the center of activities, the hub of the normal, regular German town. Could you explain why this is, Franz?
Yes, there was the majority, a lot of people from Germany, they travel to other cities or to work in a big industrial centers, like up north in Frankfurt or maybe down south in Karlsruhe or something. But majority of the large cities are distant from here, and their main means of travel over here in Germany is the Bahnhof, the trains themselves, and that's the reason why it's much more elaborate. And they also have a bus station right across the street from the Bahnhof. They're very it's a lot different than the stations we find back in the States. Mainly, they're clean, which, you know, I look at I'm thinking of the subway myself, and compared to this, it's like the big mansion and the little shack down in Bogalusa.
Let's not get personal here, Franz.
Yes, but majority, a lot of people travel. I noticed even one time when I was on my way up to Frankfurt one time that even the school children travel by the train. They go to school this way, which is kind of unusual.
Well, anyway, the train station or the Bahnhof is the place where you'll usually find the most activity. It's always busy. And right now, Franz, mainly because it's very cold out here.
Yes, that's true. It's much warmer over there, and I make a suggestion that we go over inside.
And we'll join our listeners inside the Bahnhof. And these are the sounds from inside a Bahnhof. Now, this train station of Worms is much smaller than the ones you will find in most of the major cities in Germany. As a matter of fact, the Bahnhof usually is usually the largest building in town. I think as far as covering space.
Yes, that's true. I agree with you.
I think we hit it at the right time here, Franz, because a train is now loading outside on the tracks. Of course, we can see through the windows of the Bahnhof here, train and when they're arriving and when they depart. It's not so different from the train stations, the lobby of the train stations in the States.
No, that's true. There's one big difference, I think. A lot of times you find back in the States there is sort of like a seat arrangement where people sit down. Here there's no seats at all. The people have to stand. The only really place to sit down is a restaurant in the Bahnhof here, which is right directly behind the side. And there's also a sort of like a snack bar, what do we call it, where you could, you know, catch a quick lunch or a quick glass of milk or a glass of beer, I should say.
Franz, how many people would you say are now standing in the Bahnhof?
Oh, I'd say, well, I don't know, a couple hundred, maybe 200 people here right now.
And this, of course, is not really the busy time.
No, that's true. This is at a late hour on Saturday, which is, you know, very unusual. It's not really busy. Expect to be busy about this time, but there is an awful lot of people for the time, I'd say. I imagine
you hit it around 8 o'clock on a
yes.
regular weekday morning, or around
right.
5 after work. You'll see a terrific influx
yes.
of people into the train
That's
station.
true. I imagine right now most of the people are shoppers coming back from maybe the big cities, or people visiting for the holidays shortly coming up, and or shoppers going home, leaving Worms, going back to their homes.
Well, what say we begin our walk back to the Kaserne, and
yes.
maybe we can cut through the park.
Yes, the beautiful park.
We're not in the park yet. I think we have something else that we can add to the Christmas flavor of the differences between Germany and the United States. There's a young lady here who seems to be able to speak English. If we can get her to come over here, we'll try to get an interview. We've now found another German citizen who can speak English. Miss, what is your name?
Eleanor Williams.
Understand that you've lived for some time in the States.
Yes, I've lived in the States for almost 2 years.
Well, perhaps you can tell our listening audience something of the differences between Christmas in the USA and Christmas in Germany. We talked with a German couple earlier on this tape, and they explained to us there is a difference in handing toys to the children and the arrival of Santa Claus. This comes on the 6th of December instead of Christmas Eve. Is this right?
This is correct. Santa Claus Day is actually on the 6th of December, and it's St. Nicholas Day. And Santa Claus is very different in Germany from the Santa Claus in the States. Santa Claus, or St. Nicholas in Germany, was a holy bishop, and it is a very old tradition. Santa Claus comes dressed in a gold robe with his bishop's hat, and he is usually accompanied by a very dark and ugly fellow, which is called the Knecht Ruprecht. This guy carries a sack and a big chain, and children are threatened that they will be stuck in this sack, and the guy is going to take them along if they were not good throughout the year. And Santa Claus takes his golden book and reads all the good and bad deeds of the children, and also usually asks them to say a prayer or two. And afterwards the children are rewarded with a sack of goodies like apples, nuts, and oranges, and a few little toys. But nothing real big. The real toys are passed out on Christmas Eve, the 24th of December. This is when the Christ child arrives, which is actually the little Jesus pictured as a little angel, and it comes down from heaven on its sledge with its reindeer. And it comes in through the window on its wings and delivers the Christmas gifts in front of the Christmas tree.
You, of course, having lived in the States, notice the difference between decorations at Christmas time between the States and in Germany. Could you explain this?
Yes, the Christmas decoration in Germany is not quite as colorful as it is in the United States. It is an old German custom to keep a Christmas tree usually in plain white and silver. And also we have the custom to use real candles on our Christmas trees instead of artificial lighting.
Miss Williams, let me thank you for talking to us today.
You're quite welcome.
We have here.
Well, we're now in the park, the second park in Worms, which, in my opinion, is the most attractive one. Before we start describing how the park is, I think Franz can tell us about an interesting experience we had on the way down here.
Yes, we happened to pass a small stand where an elderly fellow had was selling candy, or hard candy. It was it's all different colors. It had orange, blue, and they had these funny colors, all like multicolor candy. And it was very good, and well, I have some right now. It tastes like, the one I have in my mouth right now, it tastes like, reminds me of Luden's cough drops, Luden's honey and licorice cough drops.
Incidentally, I think this candy is all homemade, too.
Yes, that's true, yeah, it seems like it's homemade.
And
he had the displayed in huge bags, by separated and used bags, which...
like about 10-pound bags. I think it's rather interesting to note that he is somewhat of a salesman, too. Did you notice the way he got our attention? We walked up to him, and just out of curiosity, looking at his merchandise, and he picked up a couple of pieces of candy, and before we could do anything, he had popped one into each of our mouths.
Right, that's true, right.
And we, of course, bought some of his candy.
Yes, and of course, he had it all set. Well, he took a little bit of everything, and he was giving it to us, and then he said 1 mark 30, which is, we were thinking about buying, but when he handed it to us directly, then we bought it. We decided we were going to buy it.
And 1 mark 30, of course, is about 30 cents.
Yeah, that's true. Right.
The park here, we noted as we were coming in here, it's something is obviously wrong tonight, because as we're sitting now on a park bench in front of this pool, which is normally lit up and all colored lights, and there is usually a fountain here,
right.
and now the fountain is off. There are no lights at all, so it's not as an attractive sight as it usually is.
Yes, that's true. I think it's probably during the winter when the water probably freezes over and it's very difficult to keep it going, and it's probably difficult to keep the lights going because of the cold weather.
Well, Franz, what say we start our walk through the park? And of course, this park is located very near the Kaserne, and when we reach the other side of the park, let me explain that the park is approximately a quarter-mile long. It's not very wide.
About 100 yards wide, I guess.
And of course, it's interlaced with sidewalks. We will now begin our walk through the park, and when we run across something interesting, we will let you know.
Hope that dog doesn't bite. Does it bite?
We have now run across a couple of young German lads, and one seems to be able to speak English quite well. Could you give us some historical background on the park here?
Just, it's now new, see. Before, it's don't war here, you know. Just, it's war, you know, with the guys in the war, you know.
Yeah.
Just, this get all clean, and some, get new, see. Just, that's here, it's, on the, you know, we just say, with the man standing over there, the woman was standing there.
The statue.
Yeah, and all this get new, see, a swimming pool, football, you know, for the kids and that. Just.
How old is the park now? When was it built?
I think this old, see. That's get fixed. That's one 1956. The 57, just, get fixed.
Well, perhaps, have you lived in Worms all your life?
What you mean,
you live in Worms forever?
Yes.
Well, tell me, now, Worms is a very old city itself.
Yeah.
How old is it?
Worms, I think, it's from 1837, and now, that's now, 60... 70, 80, I think 80 years old.
Okay, very good. And let me thank you for talking to us.
Okay, thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Just, it's just for,
Well, Franz, we just ran across another very, very uneducated German.
That's true, very true. From what I've learned from reading a couple books and what the Public Affairs has written in the Chronicle, that it dates way back until the 14th, 15th, maybe even the 13th century.
As a matter of fact, it was even farther back than that, Franz.
Yes.
Worms has been mentioned in the Roman history as far back as Julius Caesar.
Yes. Yes, I remember. Yep. Now I think of, there's a statue down in the along the river, along the Rhine, which has a Viking, which that goes way back to the
even before
500.
Christ.
500.
Well, Worms is supposed to be one of the oldest cities in Germany.
That's true.
And possibly even one of the oldest cities in Europe, for that matter. And that concludes our tour of Worms. I hope in the last hour you've learned a little something about my home in Germany, and perhaps now you can understand how I'll be spending my Christmas this year. Again, a Merry Christmas to everyone at home.